Hey guys, this is Jim here with another Vinyl Kaiju review. Today we are going to be talking about the end-all, the be-all of Godzilla collectibles. The reason you're going to throw out all of your Vinyl Kaiju, the SH Monsterarts Burning Godzilla. Well, okay, I'm joking, because obviously this is not the end-all and be-all of Godzilla collectibles, and my vinyls aren't going anywhere. But how cool is this figure, and how great is this line? It gets a lot of talk, and there's a lot of controversy on all of the message boards I go to that deal with Kaiju collectibles, really, which is, probably 5 or 6 different places. There's always fights about Monsterarts. So, well, I like it. We'll just start with that. I like the figure. It's not going to be the end-all, be-all for me, and my vinyls certainly aren't going anywhere. But let's not focus on comparing apples to oranges and causing controversy there. Let's just talk about the figure itself. Well, actually, first let's talk about the box, because normally I don't care about reviewing the packaging of something, but this box actually is really attractive. You have this Godzilla face on the front. Very cool. I really like that they have these kind of glittery lettering on the side, and then on the back you've got several shots of the figure itself posed in attractive ways. And if you can read Japanese, there's something about Yuji Sekai here, I think. I don't know, something about Godzilla's profile, I think. Probably history. And this is about the Godzilla from this film in particular. My Japanese proficiency is not great enough to read that, but if you can, awesome. But yeah, a very attractive box. That's not the reason to buy the thing, but it's a good thing to come along with it anyway. Let's talk about the figure itself, because that's what we care about here. And looking at it, obviously it has a lot of great detail. The sculpt is really pretty fantastic on this figure, which is really what you come to expect from Yuji Sekai, but yeah, no disappointment sculpt-wise on this figure. It looks great, and I think my favorite thing about it, and the reason I decided to start with the Monsterarts line with this figure, is the translucent burning patches on this guy. Give you a little bit of a close-up here. So yeah, as you can see, those look really, really fantastic. I'm told that all of these parts are actually completely translucent, that they've been painted over black. I don't really know personally if that's the case or not, but regardless, the effect is very attractive. The spines look great too. Okay, so the sculpt is great, the burning patches are great. We can talk about accuracy, because that's one of the things that came up with this figure is, well, look at these spines in the back. We've got all these smaller nubs that are kind of bright white. And people complained about this, and honestly, I was surprised to find out that this is in fact accurate to the way the suit was built. In the movie itself, it's really difficult to tell that these tail spines and some of the ones lining his back actually as well are white, but that is in fact the way it looks on the suit. I can put a picture of that in the video so you guys can see that I'm not full of shit. But that is the case. So technically this is suit accurate. There was some discussion over whether we want suit accuracy or film accuracy. I guess this probably does not look exactly like it looks in the film. This is definitely brighter than you probably remember it being from Godzilla vs. Destroyer, however the hell you want to say it. But it doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I kind of had to get over that. If you saw the X Plus Titanosaurus, I thought the colors on that were kind of bright for how it looks in the film. But evidently that too is accurate to the suit itself. So suit accuracy, film accuracy, whatever. It looks kind of like a weird aesthetic choice that they designed him this way, but nevertheless, it is accurate to something. So that's good. One thing that's not accurate is this kind of splotchy paint here. I don't believe on the suit that the white spines actually went all the way up on the neck and to the back of the head. And it's especially apparent here because they just kind of sprayed the paint or painted it all over there rather than just on the spines. So one minor thing that you can mark the figure off for. Since we're talking about paint, let's just discuss some of the slop that you might find on these smaller spines here. It's not the most carefully applied in some places. Mine's not as bad as some people's have been, or pictures I've seen anyway. But one thing that mine does have, I don't know if you can see there, on that second spine down, the second biggest one, there is a little bit of the black paint slab on there. Not a humongous deal to me. And overall, the paint is nicely applied, so it's not too bad. Then I guess the next thing people would want to know about is the articulation. And I have to say, when I pulled this thing out of the box, I'll include a picture of this as well, but this leg was frozen in this way, kind of like this. Even worse than that, but it had a lot of space. A gap, I guess you would say. And this joint right here, and it's still really, really stiff. Right, it's really difficult to move that one, personally. The other leg works just fine, but for whatever reason, this was really tight, and still is fairly tight. It's not the most easy thing to deal with. It's even kind of difficult to pop it back on there. I guess it's better to be too tight than too loose. You guys can interpret that however you want. But sometimes there's just inconsistency. You know, for example, the torso pops off really easily. Right? That's not even the part I was trying to pop off. This part right here. There we go. This pops off really easily on mine if you tilt them back too far. Give you a peek at the inner workings of this guy. He's also lighter than the other Monsterarts figures, evidently, to increase the articulation. They had to hollow him out more, I guess. So, I don't know, some inconsistency in the joints, I guess you could say. It's getting better, though, so I'm not going to count off for it majorly in that category. Articulation otherwise is really pretty great. Some people expressed concern about this gap here at this waist part, and if you pose it in certain ways, it kind of looks like Godzilla has this burning diaper, which is sort of funny. And my friend Justin told me that this part is posable. I don't really know what he means by that, but while that part is not posable, the next part up can be kind of pushed from the back. It's hard to see what I'm doing, but basically you can maneuver it so that the gap there is really pretty minuscule, right? So, good job there, Time Machine. The tail is just like the previous Godzilla. If you have one of those, it's nicely posable. No complaints there, really. Mouth opens, obviously the neck. Everything moves, lots. It's very articulated. So if that's one of the main reasons you're into these kind of figures, you're going to love that. If you're like me and articulation is kind of, I don't know, it's not the most important thing, well, once you get past any particularly tight or loose joints you have, it's not that difficult to pose, and it's kind of fun to tinker around with, so overall high marks there. Now let's talk about one thing that really bugs me about this figure, which is how much it costs versus what kind of accessories you get. Because even with a discount, this figure costs quite a bit, right? I think if you're buying it at a normal price, it's usually about 80 bucks. And here are our accessories, basically. You get these tiny little maser tanks. And they're articulated, though. Ooh, super articulation. The way of the future. Oh, and you also get these virtually pointless extra set of Godzilla hands. Right? Those are kind of a bitch to take on and off anyway, so I'm not going to bother with them right now. They're really not that different from the other hands either. They're just like slightly more open and spread out with the fingers. And I think these ones look better and more accurate to the way Godzilla usually looks in the movie. So I'm going to leave these on, I think. So really, check it out. Here's our accessories for this $80 figure that's actually lighter and perhaps less material than its predecessor. Okay. Now, some people might be saying, well, you know, they could have just given you nothing. I think that's really a pretty lame response, because for a less expensive figure, let's use Ultra Act King is an example. A larger, yet less expensive figure. Make some room here. Right? It's larger, heavier, and it doesn't cost as much. And what do we get for King? Well, let's get all these accessories out. Okay, well, already he's got one of his accessories equipped right now, actually. This longer tail, which is really fantastic. You can wrap it around Ultra 7, which I have. Simulates kind of the way he fights in the Showa series. And then you've got this tail, which is more like how he looks in the Heisei series. In different Heisei series. But you also get something that this Godzilla lacks, which is a beam effect, right? So no beam with this Godzilla, no stand. All the stands suck, I hear. But yeah, this King comes with that. Comes with these electric kind of currents to put on the tail when you're zapping somebody. And then it also comes with this little baby King, right? So, pretty good accessories that really enhance the look of the Kaiju, give you different kinds of effects you can do with it, and then just kind of what these are is just like a random little nothing, right? So I don't know, just it seems to me that they could have done something more for us. They could have included the Super X3 or a beam, or I don't know what. I don't have exactly a perfect suggestion right now, but this stuff really seems pretty pathetic for extras, so lame on that front, Monsterarts. Well, in closing about this figure, I just have to say up front that I'm generally a guy who prefers vinyls overall. Super articulated figures have a lot of quirks. Sometimes they sacrifice the sculpt integrity, the overall look of the figure, for increased articulation. And with that increased articulation comes a lot of problems in some cases. I talked about the overly tight leg joint in this figure, the fact that the torso can pop off kind of easily, and I know other people have had problems with heads popping off, necks popping off, fragile parts. People are well familiar with the King Ghidorah issues in this line, with the wings snapping. And quite frankly, they're very expensive figures too, right? So I'm generally a person who prefers vinyls. But that said, this figure is very nice. The figure itself, just free of all context, this is a great Burning Godzilla figure. The sculpt is fantastic. The burning effects are really quite incredible. I don't think I've seen any other figures, or at least no toys of this particular Godzilla that had such a convincing burning effect. The articulation, while sometimes certain poses can call attention to gaps, they can generally, with a little bit of adjustment, be covered up to look really quite smooth for an articulated figure. The paint apps are generally pretty good with some slop, a couple inaccuracies, but overall you can't complain too much. However, as mentioned already, these accessories are pathetic. And the toy is really very expensive. I think it's retailing for, in the ballpark of $80. And considering that it's about the same amount of material as its predecessors, and yet it's gotten more expensive while giving us lamer accessories, well, I'm not going to try to say it's justifiable or not, but it's expensive for what it is, and you have to make that judgment call for yourself. It did cross my mind when I saw the new Marmot Burning Godzilla variant that maybe I should have saved my money for that one. I'll probably still shell out for that, to be honest, and I'm still happy I have this. It's a very good figure, so if you like articulated figures and you like Godzilla and you feel like the price is justified and you're not expecting a lot of accessories, then this comes highly recommended, because the figure itself, as mentioned before, is really great, and I think if you like this kind of thing, it's going to be right up your alley. Anyway, that's my honest review, guys. I'll probably give it about an 8 out of 10. Okay, losing points for some paint slop, lame accessories, and probably the overall price versus how much figure you get. Okay, so that's a solid grade. Good job, Monsterarts. I will probably consider buying more of them, highly dependent on what characters become available. Despite liking this figure, I don't feel any great need to go back and buy even some of the better figures from the line, like Space Godzilla and the robot monsters, etc. just not feeling it. But this one's great. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I have a lot of new stuff since the last time I did video reviews. Just got really busy with teaching in my own classes and stuff this year. But I'll try to have some new videos for you soon. Take care.